What can you tell us about availability for Saturday?
Pep and Harry Toffolo are out. Tiger and Biel are back in full training. So that's the only new thing, really.
Tiger and Bill both available for selection?
They're both available for selection, yeah. They've trained today. They'll train tomorrow. And then we'll see if they're ready to travel with us, but they're okay.
What's the timetable on Harry?
Don't know at the moment. He had the scan. It showed there's a bit of a bleed in the muscle. So, probably expect 2 or 3 weeks and see where it goes from there, really. But we don't know until, because they're all different in terms of, we all get different gradings for different muscle injuries, but all players are different in terms of how they heal. And he's a strong boy, so hopefully we're hoping it hopefully can come back sooner rather than later.
It wasn't an underlying problem. I know you'd mentioned after the game that was more maybe we pushed him too soon. Is that a...
No, we didn't. I don't think we pushed him too soon. He would have been capable of playing 60 minutes for sure. It was a strange kind of mechanism that there was a ball that was played over his right shoulder and he kind of kicked out with his left leg, and it was a strange mechanism that you probably don't do so often in football, and he felt his hamstring then. So, yeah, as I say, it was one of them things that unfortunately just happens, but he was more than fit enough to be ready for that game for at least an hour.
Is Pep still on track, Miami?
He's on track. He's had a re-scan and it showed that it's healed really well, so we need to build him up now. I think he's doing 80% speed work. We need to build him up and get his fitness back as well, because being off feet for 3 weeks, he needs to build up again.
I know that the Orlando game, when you brought him back the first time, would you say that you brought him back adequately enough, or was that another one where it was kind of like maybe it took him a little bit more time of just getting game action to feel like he was back up to speed?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't. It's really difficult to replicate games to get them back up to track. So, giving them minutes where you can is the best way of getting them back on track. So we'll look at where we can give him minutes, where we can play practice games in training to make sure he's getting a good toll of training to make sure he's ready to play.
There's been a large conversation, and I think you alluded to it at the beginning of your statement after the game, about results versus style of play and or beauty of play. And you've had to grind out some results here recently. Is that something, and again, I know a lot of it's probably done out of necessity because of personnel, but do you ever worry about, I don't want to say not getting the flowers from people in terms of not looking as aesthetically pleasing? You're just more worried about, hey, results, we don't care, we play our football, we get our results when we can, and if it's beautiful, it's great, if not, whatever.
Yeah, I felt that the second half of the game against Red Bull wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but we did what we needed to do to get the victory in that game. We starved their better players of the ball. We allowed their 2 centre-backs to have lots of the ball, and they struggled to create big chances until the last minute when they had the header. So there's been a lot of games where we've been aesthetically pleasing and not won games. The idea is to go and win football games, and you have to be pragmatic at times to do that. We have a style that suits us, but I watch a lot of games week in, week out, and a lot of them are not aesthetically pleasing. And that's just the game of football. It's about opinions, and you'll win some and you lose some. But at the moment, we're in a good run of form. There's not too many teams that will want to play against us.
What do you think is behind people who might discredit form for prettiness, aesthetically pleasing? Why do you think that occurs?
Because everybody wants to be Pep Guardiola, but nobody can be Pep Guardiola apart from him himself, and nobody has the players that Pep Guardiola has. That was the common thing in the UK, and it seems a little bit common here as well. You've got to go and win games. You look at Philadelphia, the way they play. You wouldn't probably say it's the most aesthetically pleasing style, but they're winning games, and they're hard to beat, and they work hard for each other, and it fits with what their fans want to see as well. So, listen, football will always be about opinions, and style of play will be about opinions, but the be-all and end-all, if you want to keep fans happy, you have to win football games.
Zoran kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier this week about possibly bringing Biel up to be a part of the first team squad, and you mentioned him a little bit at the end last week before the game. What is it about him that makes you project a future for him with this first team side?
Well, he joined us in pre-season, and we liked what we saw. But as with any young player, he then went to the Crown Legacy and done his kind of apprenticeship with them. And as all young, good players, they come and they have good times and they have bad times, and they have a bit of a roller coaster of a period. And he's been through that, but we've seen enough of him playing for Legacy recently to want him to step up and be around us. I think it's an area that we need some legs. He certainly covers a lot of distance quickly. He's got better on the ball. His use of the ball is getting better all the time as well. So we felt that it was the right time to bring him up with us.
Is he closer to a Westy profile or a Brand profile, or I guess what role do you foresee him having?
I think he can do the Westy profile. I think he has got a Bronico profile as well, because he covers the ground really well. His numbers in terms of what he covers are massive. The use of the ball and his understanding of tactical positions are the things that Gary's been working with him, and now we'll be working with him.
So he's practicing, he's training with you guys?
He's training with us, yeah. I think he is available for Saturday. We probably won't put him in on Saturday, but he will be available to be with us should ever we need him now.
Okay. What about Aloko? Is that right? Rodolfo, the new guy, the 18-year-old?
No, Rodolfo's not with us at all yet. His paperwork hasn't come through to us yet, so that's an ongoing thing.
Okay. We talked to Addy the other day, and just to think about where he's come in the last 3 years. I know you were two of them. You saw on film before that. What do you think his biggest improvements have been, or progression has been?
I think his biggest improvements has been his leadership. The way he's took on a leadership role within the group. His demands and standards every day in training. He's one of the standout players every day. And it's no coincidence that at the end of last season he won the Players Player of the Year award, which was some doing considering the season that Kalina had as well. But he's a good defender. He'll know when he hears me say this that I think he doesn't score enough goals in the opposition penalty box, and I think he can improve that. But defensively, reads the game really well, really composed on the ball, but his leadership skills are the ones that really stand out to me.
Can you see his skills translating to the Premier League? You think he's going to play?
I think I said last week I'm surprised that a Premier League team didn't take a punt on him. I think he's capable of playing at that level and League One level in France as well. But we're thankful that Middlesbrough were one of the teams that were willing to pay a fee that was agreeable to the club, but also that he would be allowed back to us for the rest of the season. No worries.
Well, the guy like Addy's saying, is it regular season or until you guys are done?
It's till the end of the season, so till January 1st.
Okay, so
yeah.
So he's playoffs and.
Yeah, no, he'll once the season is done, then he'll go to Middlesbrough, but can't play for them, I believe, until January 1st. Yeah, yeah.
With the way that this group has gone over the last 8, as you like to say, done well in the spin, how does the spin continue? Because certainly everybody knows you guys have won 7 straight, unbeaten in the last 8, and all the good things that have gone on. But how are you guys blocking out the noise and just staying on that?
We're just taking it one game at a time. What's gone before us, we can't do nothing about. We're just looking forward to the next game. And if we win the game on Saturday, then Sunday becomes a celebration day, and then you get back to work again on Monday. that's the way we look at it. And that's the way I've always wanted to. Just concentrate on this game, do what we have to do in this game, and then move on to the next one. But learn from that last game. So the Red Bull game, for instance, we turned over the ball too much in the second half. So that's something that we've been working on this week.
Well, the one game at a time focus is obviously coming from you. How are the players taking that one game at a time focus? Because again, it's human nature. It's like, you can start believing.
Yeah, you can get ahead of yourself very quickly, and if you do, you become complacent. And my job is to make sure the players don't do that. I've always said this. I'm no different now to what I was in the middle of the 10 away games. And the results weren't going so well for us then, but it was right. Okay, what can we improve on the last game? What didn't we do so well? What did we do really well? And how can we move on to the next game? So I've been consistent at that level, and the players, I think they can feed off that consistency as well and keep pushing their levels.
You just referenced the 10 away games in that 2-month window where things weren't going so well. How much of that stretch is kind of the fire behind what's been taking place in the last 8, where guys are saying, I remember that, I didn't like that, let's not do that again?
I think individually everybody's a little bit different. Some will look back at some games where they haven't performed or they've made a mistake which has cost us points. But I'm always looking forward. You can't change what's happened. What you can do is learn from it. So I'm very big on the learning, and as I say, this is the learning zone that we're in here today. So we do a lot of work with the players in here on how to improve, and we want their games to improve because then the team improves. So we're constantly messaging them and making sure that that's the right message.
Can you pinpoint any one thing that was learned from that stretch that has been maybe corrected, amended, fixed?
I think there's less individual mistakes at the moment, or big errors that became goals. That was the biggest thing that was happening. So, I think certainly in our defensive third, we've not taken as many chances as maybe we did in that time. And because of that, we've defended our box really well lately.
Last one for me. Thoughts on the opponent this week and going back on the road, but you go on the road with confidence, you go on the road with a group that's feeling good, but you obviously go to a team, face a team that you have respect for, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they went to Columbus last week, who as everybody knows, I think are one of the best teams in the league, and beat them. Columbus missed some big chances, but to go there and beat Columbus is, you can't be a bad team if you do that. So, lots of respect for them. We were disappointed in the home game because we were very good in that game. We should have won that game. But I think I've said enough about that game probably 3 months ago, so I won't go any further onto that.
Anyone else? If you could pardon me, just because that seemed like the game that, I don't want to say started the downturn, but it was after that, you go on that road, like, do you ever think about kind of where you guys were at that moment and juxtapose it with now? I know you said that there were a lot of times where, you played well and didn't get the spoils, but is it good to kind of have that reinforced belief that, hey, we can still get results, we can get results with this team, and it feels like, okay, we've completely gone full circle from that?
I don't think there was a particular point, because I think not long after that we beat Columbus at home and were excellent. So there was never a point where I thought, oh yeah, that's where our form changed. What didn't help was obviously losing our 2 fullbacks, and I've always said that. So yeah, there's no circle for us to go around in. It's very much front foot, move forward, and keep moving forward as we can as a club and as a team. And I think all the team are happy to keep doing that as well.
You mentioned Toffolo making kind of an awkward or unusual move. Do you think some of that comes from playing on turf and he's not used to it, or
I don't know. Is the honest answer. I don't know. He's trained on there. Obviously, we've had a few training days on there, so he knows what it's about. But does the turf come into that injury? I don't know. It was just Probably not, because he was just a funny mech. He felt really good, and I thought we looked a really good team with him in here, I must admit. I thought we had some really good passing movements, took the lead, and were very comfortable in the game until that moment. But it was a funny mechanism where the ball had come over his right shoulder, and he tried to intercept it with his left in the air, and that's when he felt it. So I probably wouldn't blame the turf for that, that's for sure.
Sometimes you try and do too much when you're with a new team, you know? And you've had-
Yeah, I mean, listen, there would have been adrenaline flowing, it being his first game, but it definitely wasn't too soon to play him. He was good, he felt good. He'd trained for at least 12 days, I think, maybe more. So he was in a good place.
Is he disappointed?
Yeah, he's really disappointed, and understandable. What he does, it gives him more time to settle in and help his wife and kids.
The hamstring has unfortunately been a bit of a bugaboo. I mean, it's a common injury in the game. Is there something with training you're looking at, or is it just a series of freak incidents?
No, I mean, we've got a performance department and medical departments, and they've got me pushing them all the time. If we get injured, right, is there an underlying problem with it? Why did we have it? You look at Harry and Sully, who've come in and got injured. They've not done a pre-season, so that can happen because they haven't got the 5 weeks of training in, and you're trying to give them minutes in games to build up to that. Unfortunately, both of them have broke down at different periods. But, Tiger and Biel, they were more fatigue injuries. The Tiger had just played a full game against Monterey. He hadn't played a full game for a while. And this is one of my gripes, that you can't play enough games here for the players who haven't been playing regular games. So there's always that risk that players who aren't playing regular can come in and get an injury, whether it be mainly a muscle injury. But they're all different. The injuries that Bill has had and Tiger have had and Pepper's had and Harry have had, Sully have all been different injuries in the hamstring muscle. So, it's all different.
I know you talked a lot about the potential for a calendar shift, and a lot of the motivation behind that was aligning the windows. Did you guys find a barrier of getting any of the business you wanted done, because the windows, while they are more aligned than they were in the past, they're still not 100% even with where your opens?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the biggest reasons. Look at it now, our window's shut. Theirs has got another 2 weeks left, I think it is. So anything we wanted to get done, other teams in Europe didn't have to do things. So they could ask for, if we wanted to buy a player, they could ask for a lot more money, because they know that we have to do it quickly. So it's a big problem, I think, for this league, and the only way you can do that is by actually changing the calendar.
Dean, thank you for joining us.
I did have one more. You played a couple of matches since Pat departed, and I know he's had the hernia surgery, he's not playing just yet, but have you noticed anything with the forwards, the scoring group, that they kind of, I don't know, realize that guys have to step up, or are they just kind of in business as usual?
I think it's been business as usual. I mean, Pat was away for 3 weeks, I think, in pre-season with the national team, and then they've had the Gold Cup, is it? The Gold Cup, so he was away again. So we coped without him then. We've now boosted our ranks by bringing Archie in as well. So we're hopeful that we can live without with Patrick, and we're doing so far. And as I've said, we wish him well in his career, and we've helped him in that pathway as well.
Were y'all having to guard against that hernia? Were you having to limit his minutes?
A little bit. I mean, it wasn't giving him major problems, until he came back from the Gold Cup. So that was probably giving him limitations during that period.
How do you, with Archie, how do you juxtapose the balance of,
Make sure he doesn't get a hamstring injury.
partially, but the desire to want to see what he can do, but also knowing that Edon is in good form, and you don't want to mess with that.
Oh, no, and we won't. But, you know, there will be periods where we know Idan will have a drop-off in terms of his performance levels and his fitness levels. And our job is to keep talking to performance guys, and if we see a drop-off during the game, then we can replace him with Archie. And that's what having competition for places is all about at this level.
You're not afraid to sell a striker?
No, no
I'm
chance.
just gotta figure it out.
No problem.
Dean, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.